What is going on, YouTube? Joe here with Culination Media, back again with another top 5 video. Now this week we're going to be looking at Dark-type Pokemon, but before we get into the list, I'd just like to take a minute to thank everybody for the support on the first installment of the series. Getting to read everybody's comments on their own personal lists was definitely a lot of fun, and you guys had some really cool Pokemon in your top 5s as well that I really was overlooking when I was creating the video, so that part was cool. And we also reached over 200 likes on that video, which is pretty amazing, very encouraging, so I want to thank you guys just for being awesome. So we're going to be doing Dark-type Pokemon this week, and there are a lot more of them compared to the Ghosts that we did last week, meaning there's going to be probably some amazing ones that are going to be left off the list since we only have those 5 spots to work with. And as always, keep in mind that this is all just opinionated stuff, so be sure to put your own personal list in the comment section below and we can discuss and all that kind of fun stuff. Alright, so let's get started. Started at number 5, we have Houndoom, creatively dubbed the Dark Pokemon. Could definitely lump Houndour, Houndoom, and Mega Houndoom all into this spot, as I pretty much think that they're all equally as awesome. So the first time I was really able to use a Houndoom was actually in Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, since you're able to capture a Houndour very early in that game. And even though I played hundreds of hours in my Gold and Silver versions, I was never able to get my hands on one. And that's probably because there's only a 5% chance to find a Houndour on Route 7, which is the only place you can find one in the entire game. Now back to Houndoom. I love it for its sleek and awesome looking design, its power in battle, has great speed, and a backstory that includes fire-breathing flames that contain toxins. That's just a double whammy of ouchies. Now it would be pretty cool if that was incorporated somehow into its moves, like if its fire type attacks also had an added chance to cause poison. Maybe alongside the burn condition. I don't really know how it would work, but it would be cool. Maybe that's asking too much, but Houndoom also did get shafted when it comes to shiny coloring, so I think I'm just going to have to stick with it as number 5 on the list. At number 4 we have Bisharp. Steel Dark is such an amazing typing, but it pales in comparison to Bisharp's also amazing design. But some people do say the design kind of makes him look like a Power Ranger, but to me, really, that's just a compliment, to be honest. Now, Bisharp, it looks dangerous, and it looks like he just means business. And he travels in a posse of Pawniard to, as the Pokedex entry says, hound prey into immobility. So basically, Bisharp is just a high school bully that also happens to be able to take you to school on the battlefield as well. It does have base 125 attacks, solid defenses, and stab sucker punch, which has pretty much allowed Bisharp to be a staple in OU for most of the time that it's been around. Now, I'm not a big fan of the Blue Ranger, Shiny Bisharp, but he still has enough going for him to be number 4 in my book. Onwards to number 3. Sneasel is a Pokemon that hits close to home for me on a few levels. First off, it's got that beautiful pink shiny coloring that I'm just a complete sucker for, but it also has a Gen 2 nostalgia factor. One of the first things I think of when I see Sneasel is how cool it was the first time I saw Wild One outside of Mount Silver as a 10-year-old kid. Good times. Since then, it has only gotten better with its awesome evolution in Weavile coming in Gen 4, and a collection of new cool moves to mess around with like Ice Shard and Icicle Crash. It was a very happy time for me when the physical special split was introduced in Diamond and Pearl, making Sneasel actually useful in battle for once. But as awesome and nostalgic as Sneasel is for me, I don't think I could rank it above these next 2 Pokemon on the list. At number 2, we have the Kalos starter Greninja. Ninjas have been a soft spot for me ever since I dressed as one for Halloween 8 years in a row as a kid, and I guess I never really outgrew that part of my life. And Greninja is also a frog, so what's not to like about a frog ninja? It's freaking amazing. Greninja is another one of those Pokemon that has an amazing shiny coloring, and it is probably my favorite out of all the Kalos Pokemon. It also has Water Shuriken as a signature move, and I think it fits it perfectly. Although, there's not a lot of cases where it needs the priority that the move offers, since Greninja is already pretty darn fast to begin with. Then, there's the Protean ability that allows Greninja to change its type based on the move it is using, which also grants it the stab bonus on every single attack it uses, which is just crazy. This, in addition to its fairly extensive move pool, makes the Ninja Frog an absolute terror in battle. But with all that said, there's still one Dark Pokemon that I would rank higher. And my number 1 favorite Dark-type Pokemon is the Dark Dragon-type Hydraigon. Absolutely amazing design, exclusive typing, A great ability in Levitate, solid move pool, and fantastic stats make Hydraigon easily number 1 for me. I will say though that the evolutionary line itself always struck me as a bit strange. The lowest evolution, Dano, doesn't even evolve into the second form in Zweilous until level 50. Then Zweilous doesn't evolve into Hydraigon until level 64, which is easily the highest level for evolving among all Pokemon in the game. There's also the classification of the brutal Pokemon, which it shares with Sharpedo. I'd have to think that something as awesome as Hydraigon would have its own classification. As far as its size, it's about the same height as me, at a little under 6 feet tall, but it weighs over 350 pounds, which is just about twice as heavy as the average person of that height. So this thing is just purely scary from both a design and a power standpoint. Of course, I have my fingers crossed that Hydraigon does not get blessed with a Mega Evolution anytime soon, because it definitely does not need it. Well, that's going to wrap up this week's top 5. Make sure to leave your own personal top 5 in the comments below and drop a like if you enjoyed the video. You can also suggest what top 5 you'd like to see next week. As always, feel free to say hi on Twitter, check out random pictures of my cat on Instagram, or become a Patreon for early access to videos. All those links will be in the description below if you need them. And that will be it for this episode, so I will see you all next week. But until then, game on.